Tonight, we hope to put a human face on the war in Ukraine. The story of Olha and Jan, the fresh-faced couple you see in these photos, should be a blissful tale of love. Instead, Vladimir Putin turned it into a tragic love story. This story stretches here in Michiana, too. In fact, Olha's living on Tom Weaver's Rochester, Indiana farm.
Weaver hosted Olha when she was an agricultural exchange student. This was back in 2010 and welcomed her back to escape the ravages of war. George, you've been following this story all day. That's where you pick things up tonight.
Yeah, and I think I said it to the two of you earlier today that we use the term tragedy far too often in our reporting. That, though, is the only way to describe this story.
We've become numb to images like this. This eastern Ukraine train station was all but destroyed when Russia targeted the terminal in an overnight aerial assault earlier this week. For Olha Kvilinskiy, such images serve as reinforcement of her heartbreak. We first introduced you to Olha 2 years ago, at the start of Putin's invasion. She was checking in with Rochester farmer Tom Weaver, who had hosted her in 2010 when she was an agricultural exchange student. When her studies here were done, she returned to Ukraine, where she married soulmate Jan. 7 years ago, the couple welcomed little Marika to their family. When Russia's unprovoked attack began, Jan took up arms to defend his beloved homeland. He urged his wife and daughter to rejoin the Weaver family here in Michiana.
I'm thankful that I have this possibility, but it was Jan's desire, and he just pushed me here and said, I will feel better if I know that you are in a safe place. You are not hiding from the rockets.
Olha and Marika came to Rochester, welcomed by the Weaver family. Olha stayed in touch with Jan by sending messages back and forth. Last month, Jan, a peaceful man who made his living raising roses, was killed.
And I wrote him, please be careful. And he said, okay, I will be careful. And I wrote him, I love you. And he wrote me, I love you, Olha. And it was his last message.
Olha and Marika aren't the only Ukrainians to benefit from the Weavers' generosity. Ksenia Ship is another exchange student hosted by the Weavers. She went home to her war-torn country on winter break and was struck by how routine death has become.
At first it was very hard. But now it's very scary that you get used to hearing bad news. It's like I heard some of my friends died, and I'm like, oh, like one more, like why is it happening? Like what is it for,
Yeah, and getting back to Olha, she was mute immediately after she lost Jan. That was last month. She's had some help and has obviously regained the gift of speech, but this trauma is so real for the people affected. I'm glad we were able to show you some of these people, and they're right here.
And let this story breathe a little bit, too. I think that's important. One thing we all noticed watching that, you said it out loud, the 7-year-old. She's sitting there so bright-eyed, not realizing what she escaped, what could have been a part of her life.
And she was just running around here today. She did allow that she misses her dad. And she had some, she's a real little kid,
Yeah.
So
those are the ones that get you. And we appreciate you bringing it to us.
Especially as a father, you get that.
I do.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a lot more news to come, including Matt's full forecast. That's coming up in 30 seconds. Stay there.